or Form SSA 561U2, request for reconsideration. So if you've received a notice of determination from the Social Security Administration uh, due to any number of programs, whether it's retirement benefits, disability, one of the things you may do is request a reconsideration, either because you feel that your position supports your request. Maybe there was paperwork that wasn't included the first time around that you noticed and you want to make sure that you address it. So you can file this request for reconsideration, and you can go in a couple of different options with the Social Security Administration, depending on your situation. So we're going to go over this form, and then I'll kind of lightly discuss some things that we cover in more depth in our article, which you can find on our website, and I'll get to that at the end of the form. So this form basically is one page. There is a second page that contains all the administrative actions that are Social Security initial determinations, whether it's for Title II benefits, Title 16 benefits, or Title 8 or Title 18 benefits, depending on the type of program that you're looking to appeal or looking at the determination for. This is the complete list. On page 3 of this form, it's an identical version. Basically, you would complete one copy and keep it for yourself, and then one copy would go to the Social Security Administration. And then on the back, there's Privacy Act information and specific steps on how to appeal either an SSI or a Special Veterans Benefit SVP decision. So, up front, if the Social Security Administration is going to stop your disability check for medical reasons or because you're no longer blind, then they will give you the correct form, which is Form SSA 789U4. So let's go to the top of this form and we'll walk through kind of how straightforward this should be. So we're going to use our hero John Doe and enter his Social Security number. If your claim number that is on your initial determination is different from your Social Security number, you would enter that here. For this example, we're just going to assume that his claim number is the same as his Social Security number. And then sorry, that's not my fault. That's just how the form is set up. Basically, a determination of overpayment. So sometimes the Social Security Administration can waive an overpayment, but first you'll probably get a notice of overpayment, and then that notice will contain kind of the steps that the Social Security Administration will take to collect on that overpayment if you do nothing about it. So you can put in a process a way to stop that overpayment or to waive it. And I'll put additional notes on how to do that in the show notes section of this video. So briefly describe the issue that you're appealing. It could be retirement benefits, disability, SSI, whatever the case may be. Put down a description of the issue that you're appealing. And then you can write down what the reasons are that you do not agree with the Social Security Administration. Now, I would recommend that maybe you kind of sit down at the Social Security Administration office, unless you have a very clear understanding of what they require. So if you know that you missed a piece of paperwork and you've got that paperwork, maybe you can just state, determination stated that I was missing supporting documentation. I have supporting documentation and am willing to provide it, right? But what you may consider sitting down with that person for is to make sure that the language that you put in this form actually is written in a way that the Social Security Administration understands, what the next step is. So if you say, "Hey, I have missing documentation," then the Social Security Administration knows that they can probably sit down with you. You would give them the missing documentation, and then they would go ahead and reconsider your determination. In a case like IRMA, where you receive a notice that uh, your Medicare premiums will be going up based on your income, there's a different reconsideration process. So you wouldn't necessarily use SSA 561. You would use a form called SSA 44. And then that's a very crystal clear process that you can go through. And then if you still were not successful in that, then maybe you would consider this. However, most people that I've ever worked with filing a form SSA 44, they either meet the criteria and it goes through without having to use this form, or they clearly don't meet the criteria and they understand that any further determinations are just going to solidify that. So I would be very cautious on how you use this form, and I would make sure that I completely understand the reasons for filing. Now, in the middle of this form right here, supplemental security income or special veterans benefits. You can appeal a determination of SSI or SVP, and there are 3 ways to appeal: case review, informal conference, or formal conference. We'll briefly go over each of these, but I do cover these a little bit more in depth in the article. So if we selected a case review, virtually anyone can pick a case review, and that's the simplest option where you can provide supporting evidence or documentation to add to your file, and then the Social Security Administration will reevaluate your case with the new information. This is the exact same process that you would go through if you were appealing your IRMA with a life-changing event on SSA 44. So, under that specific circumstance, you would basically provide them information, they review it, and then they make a new determination. If you want, the downside of a case review is that you don't get to meet in person with the person that's going to decide your case. So if you want to do that, you would need to select either an informal conference or a formal conference. You're able to pick an informal conference for all SSI cases unless it's a medical issue. And then in SVPB cases, you can only pick this appeal if the SSA has said that they're going to stop or lower your payment. And in this case, you get to meet with the person that will decide your case. You can provide that explanation. You can bring other people to help explain the circumstances of your case, and you can still give supporting documentation. And then in a formal conference, you can use this only if they're going to stop or lower your payments. So this has all the rights of an informal conference, but you can also ask the Social Security Administration to subpoena certain people to either testify or make remarks. Even if they don't want to help you, you can still treat them as an adverse witness, and you can compel them to answer truthfully. So There are different processes for each of those conferences, but the minimum, like if you simply have a piece of missing documentation, a case review may be the lowest level that you need to resolve this at. At the bottom, you'll enter your contact information. So signing this form is optional. You probably should do it. If you have a representative that you've appointed to interact with the Social Security Administration on your behalf, you can enter their information on the right side. Otherwise, we're just going to put Mr. Doe's contact information. And then we're putting in his phone number and then the date of the form. So, okay, so there are certain timelines. A case review is supposed to be done within 5 days of completing and submitting all documentation. You may have either 10 days or 60 days, depending on the type of action, to submit a timely determination appeal. So that's some of the information that the Social Security Administration will be going over. They'll attach notes into these blocks. So they'll check these boxes and to document whether or not there was an initial determination, because if not, they might ask you to wait to file this before accepting it. If the determination hasn't been made, but you're appealing it, then that's kind of like putting the cart before the horse. So the first step would be to make sure that the initial determination is actually out there. If the request was made in a timely manner, and again, depending on the nature of the request, usually it's within 10 days. If there's a formal appeal, it might be 60 days. You'll see the date that the appeal was received and a Social Security office address. Whether or not the field office needs to get more information to send up to the Social Security Administration. And then in SSI cases, you may be able to continue payments based on a federal court ruling. This is the Goldberg versus Kelly Supreme Court case that indicated that that there is a due process that recipients of public aid are entitled to before the government just cuts off their aid. So as long as they make their appeal within a reasonable time period, which is 10 days, or extended time limits with good cause, then you can opt for your payments to continue while you're appealing your case. That's what you'll see if you ever see the Social Security Administration, come back copy of this form. So we go into, that's all we have for this video. We go into a lot more detail in our article. You can find our article on our website. If you go to teachmepersonalfinance.com, type in form SSA 561 in the search bar, and you should see our article. In our article, you'll see a much more in-depth discussion of these 3 appeal methods. We actually go through in detail how the Social Security Administration uses their operations manual to complete these fields so that you can better understand the information that the SSA might need to help you move forward. And then also 5 tips for a successful appeal. So be sure to read our article. And if you like our articles, please subscribe to our newsletter. If you like our videos, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, please post them in the comments section. Thank you very much and have a great day.